Now, instead of period of time, I have period of numbers. So, now the inputs are different. Here the continuum input, this is a discrete input. Here we have something called a capacitor and inductor which took care of all the requirements of derivative and integration. I do not have any equivalent of that in the discrete domain. So, I will have to create something which does this filtering operation. Okay, how do I do that? Very simple. We said generally that a filtering operation is in the continuous domain V0s by VIS is equal to some PS by QS. This is a filter, general filter, and based on this we derived your state variable filter and all those things, which we agreed is nothing but QD into V0s, V0t is equal to PD into V1t right. These polynomials are basically arising out of the time derivatives of that appropriate order in the original differential equation. So, we reverted back to the original differential equation saying that this is the differential equation which gave rise to this transfer function, right. So, now basically I have a differential equation which simply states that QD on the output, QD as an operator on the output is equal to PD as an operator on the input. Okay. What does this derivative really means? I am sure you know that. I may be repeating, but since I am not sure whether you know it or do not know it, so I am spending time on that. You know by mathematical definition what is a derivative? A derivative is defined as dV by dt is equal to V t plus delta minus V t divided by delta limit delta tends to 0. This is mathematical definition. Now, I have V, this is now t plus delta t, the time represents some equivalent time instant corresponding to t sampling. So, this may correspond to k plus 1 t and then correspondingly this will then correspond to kt, right, and the difference between them is t and limit t tends to 0 mathematically. So, my derivative operation on a signal is equivalent to finding two consecutive samples, taking a difference between them and dividing by some constant t. The t must be sufficiently small, and we have guaranteed that t is sufficiently small by the sampling theorem, that t is less than or equal to 1 by 2b. And this what it means is, if there are abrupt changes in the signal, bandwidth will be larger, and since bandwidth is larger, you must sample them more closely. So, this we have taken care of by choosing an appropriate sampling rate. So,
is that the argument how Shannon arrived at it, sir?
Shannon has arrived at Shannon's theorem by very simple-minded approach of converting this analog signal as well as noise into a set of numbers like this, and then talked about the location of these numbers in an n-dimensional space. Because if you have a signal of a time duration t, how many samples will you have? Total duration divided by t. So, this number of samples, a finite set of samples for a given signal of duration t seconds, and similarly noise also of t seconds, and each one of these points corresponding to signal as well as noise is a point in the n-dimensional space, like 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, n-dimensional space in general. So, he argued in n-dimensional space every signal to noise ratio point will remain in that space, and if you want to separate out two signals with different set of noises and all this, there must be minimum distance between them in that n-dimensional. Very simple argument, he has proved the Shannon theorem. But anyway, I think this is not part of the class, but since you asked the question. So, so what it means is a derivative operation is really equal to difference between two consecutive samples, and t, since it is a constant, you can even take it arbitrary in the derivative. But t must be sufficiently small, and the sufficiently smallness is guaranteed by my sampling rate. So, with this agreement, I can convert this into a difference equation, right, because I can now go to next higher level of differentiation by saying this is equal to this minus this as a derivative, and then see this, so that give you another set of relation between not two of them, but now maybe three of them, because the second derivative. Like this, if you substitute them into this left hand side and on the right hand side, you basically will be a linear combination of samples in the output plus samples in the input weighted by coefficients of the derivatives, right. May not be individually, but some total of this, because this first derivative may take the same as the second derivative also may take the same sample. So, the weight correspond to each sample may be some total, some weighted sum of this coefficients of this. I won't go into mathematics of it, but simple conceptually you can see. So, with that I can write this equivalent equation as equal to sigma ak y k is equal to sigma bk x k. K is equal to 0 to some n, k is equal to 0 to some n. Is it clear? It comes out to be that the differential equation, you substitute this kind of relation on this side, it comes out to be on this side output samples weighted average and the input sample weighted average. The only thing you have to keep in mind is this yk is the sample at the output due to a time k, right. So, if you are operating at time kt, my output cannot depend upon the samples which are coming in the future, right. That is what our causality condition which we mentioned in network theory. So, if this corresponds to a causal system, then obviously I cannot have a general relationship like this. I will have to, the output at any given instant of time will only depend upon the input samples in the previous as well as the output sample till that instant. But I cannot make the present input based on the output samples in the future or the input samples in the future. So, you must remember that when the system is causal. Now, if the system is a simulated system on a computer or anywhere, then this causality has no meaning, right. The moment you start simulating, you are doing an offline operation, which means that you know all the values, so you can do this computation without any problem. But with a real system where the samples have to come from the actual measurements, you cannot expect that a future sample is also available to you. So, this has to be kept in mind while writing this equation. Any physical system is a causal system, and computers and things like that are non-physical systems, I am not worried about time. So, causal system like our filters and all this, we will have to take into account this requirement. Some people try to predict what is going to happen in future based on the past, but this is a prediction. In the sense, based on the previous information, most probably the value is going to be this in the future, but not exact. It is always an error. So, the prediction based on our knowledge about the past. The more knowledge about the past is, the better is your prediction. So, larger the number of samples, your prediction is going to be more and more accurate, and this is what Norbert Wiener did in predicting the future course of the aircraft to shoot it. So, that is how the whole idea of prediction theory has come and became so important in communication theory, and all developments have taken place only because of Norbert Wiener's ability to predict a future based on the past. So, but that is a side story. The point here is filter now takes a form from a continuous set of derivatives on both sides to set of additions and of samples taken from the output till that point and a sample taken from the input till that point. So, what does it mean now in terms of mathematical operations? I do not need any derivatives, I only need adders. The only thing I need is, I must at any instant of k, I must have the sample values of the past output as well as sample values of the past input. They must be available. So, where will they be available? One method is to, as the output comes to store somewhere, and when a time comes you pick up those and go on adding like you do in computer. But in time, in a real world or real time situation, you cannot do that. So, what we do is we use extensively delay lines. Delay line. A delay line is basically a two-port device where if you put a signal here x of t, you get a signal at the output x t minus some time t. It is not the t same as the, but td let us say, delayed time. It is a continuous signal, mind you. Signal is continuous, and then this is now delayed by a certain amount. That means, if you have a continuous signal like this, the same signal will be appearing delayed by Td. There are problems in making delay lines, but let us hope that there is a delay line available. If you have such a delay line available, hope approximate delay line, then I can discretize the delay line, and each delay says t, 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 right, and then at the input I sample the input x of t at time integral multiples of t, and the sample goes into this and goes on going like this. So, now I have available samples present, one by one previous to that, one previous up to some value upon the total delay available to me. So, samples are available to me like here, and now I just have to take these samples, put some weightages corresponding to this, and similarly another one for yt, and take the samples and then put some weightages. And this weighted sum is what you have in on this side, right? And on the present sample, output sample yk is equal to, from this expression, weightage of the previous samples available plus weightage of the previous sample of the output. Output samples are available to me by delay version. I weighted them by some bk's, some ak's, and then this is available with ak and xk, just sum these two, right. Yk is equal to sigma ak minus 1 yk minus 1 plus xn up to the k value. So, that is a hardware realization. This filter is called a transversal filter. with a delay line. So, what all I am trying to say is that the equivalent version of a filter in the continuous time domain is really a transversal filter, which does exactly same operation effectively as that of a continuous filter, provided of course that this properly T's and all these are properly taken care of, the sampling is done at a sampling rate and so on and so forth. Now, for about 1960 to 70 time scale became the period of the discrete signal processing, and people went on finding different filter structures, equivalent filter structures to do this operation, and a lot of filters have come in literature to do this discrete filter operation. Okay. So, I mean thousands of papers have come up on that subject, this discrete filters compared to continuous filters. But we will not go into that in this course, but what all I am saying is this is standard structure, but if you have problem into doing the delay time, so there are other structures available which can do the similar operation. Okay. Now I have to announce the, I will go up to waveform generation using a Schmitt trigger. Okay. That is the course. You start from after midterm 1 and then, I mean that doesn't mean you forget midterm 1 because, I mean we must remember the transistors from midterm 1 and